Today I'm going to tell you about Greg Popovich, coach of the San Antonio Spurs. I'm going to tell you why this man is the GOAT, also known as the greatest of all time of coaching. I believe he's the greatest of all time of any professional sport to do coaching, but most definitely the NBA. Now, to start this off, I'm going to tell you a little short story about myself. It was the 2007 NBA Finals. The Cleveland Cavaliers somehow made it out of the East. I was ecstatic. I was so happy that there's a chance that a Cleveland team could finally win a Finals. Something that has never been done in the NBA by a Cleveland team, and the Indians haven't won in over 50 some years. So this meant a lot to me as an Ohio boy, watching LeBron James, another Ohio man, trying his best to carry his team to a championship. Sadly, though, they quickly met up with the San Antonio Spurs, and even more threateningly, Coach Greg Popovich. Coach Popovich coached the Spurs on how to perfectly lock down LeBron James and completely negate his game, making an easy win for them, resulting in a 4-0 sweep in a best-of-7 game series. Now that I told you this short story, let's talk about some of the stats and some of the awards that Coach Pop has had. Now, Coach Pop has won Coach of the Year 3 separate times. He has won Coach of the Month 17 separate times. Out of his 23 seasons of coaching the NBA, he has had a winning record in 22 of them. This is also the longest active streak of any professional sport ever. No one has ever reached 22 whole seasons straight winning through. On top of that, he has a 68% winning in the regular season and a 60% playoff win percentage. He is the third fastest to ever reach 1,000 wins. He is currently third in the all-time win total rankings, 87 and 90 behind the first and second place coaches, which, as he is currently talking to the San Antonio Spurs about 2 or 3 more seasons, if he's keeping up with those winning seasons, averaging at least about 45 to 50 games, you can do the math, he will quickly be number 1 on the all-time list. Now, let's just talk about Greg Popovich's mentality. Greg Popovich is one of the sweetest but also hardest coaches at the same time. It has been said by Tony Parker, who was drafted at only 19 by Greg Popovich, that he viewed him as a fatherly role. As Popovich, as Tony Parker has said, made him cry a lot in practice and made him proud to be on his team during practice. Anytime Pop's players do not reach the staple he believes they should be, he belittles them and tells them what they should be doing right and what they should be doing wrong. Now, this has obviously worked well, as considering before Greg Popovich, as I said before, there was no San Antonio Spurs championships. He is the only San Antonio Spurs head coach to ever win a championship. And on top of that, he's won 5 times over 3 decades, as I've already mentioned. Also, Greg Popovich, including as part of his mentality, has revolutionized modern basketball. Nowadays, you'll see a lot of players and a lot of teams stretching the 3 ball, especially the corner 3, which was a staple of Greg Popovich's teams, as he would have Tim Duncan go inside, drawing all the defense, quickly swing it out to his corner 3 man, which would be Manu or Tony Parker, as they would drain the 3, quickly getting their easy points. And now, the Golden State Warriors, who have been kind of a dynasty recently have been doing that exact same strategy and have won 3 out of the last 4 finals. So you tell me if Greg Popovich's mentality on coaching works or not. On top of that, he was the first coach to really go after European players. He had him and his general manager scouting the players overseas. The 2 big names he got were Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker. Combining with Tim Duncan, as I've previously mentioned, those 3 won 2 championships together. No, actually, my bad. 4 championships together as a trio, and are pretty much known as the legendary trio of the San Antonio Spurs, soon to have all their numbers retired, as Tim Duncan has had his number retired and Manu has. But none of this would be possible without Greg Popovich's coaching. As I was watching the halftime show of recently of an NBA playoff game, Kenny the Jet Smith, Shaquille O'Neal, aka Shaq, and Charles Barkley all mentioned that they would love to have played for Coach Pop. Now, on top of his mentality, we're going to talk about his off-the-field persona and his hilarious interviews. First, we'll start with his interviews and how he is. Now, Craig Sager was an interviewer of the NBA who wore very flashy suits, oftentimes being floral or very bright colors. There was a time where he was wearing a purple suit, and Popovich, as he was getting interviewed, asked him, "How can you be such a serious man with such a silly suit?" As well as there was a time where Coach Popovich was sitting on the bench, as so, and he leaned back and was like, how am I supposed to coach with that distracting suit? How are we supposed to coach now? What am I supposed to do? And then Charles Barkley, as I mentioned before, was interviewing Coach Pop once, and part of Coach Popovich's contract is he only gets 2 questions from interviewers, as he is not too fond of them. And as Charles Barkley began to ask him the 3rd question, he said, "Hey, don't you only get 2? Why are you trying to ask me a 3rd one?" Completely shutting down Charles Barkley, who quickly turned away from Pop and walked away. Another great interview that I remember was during the 2013 or 2014 finals. I don't remember which one. One of the ones where they fought the Heat. And Doris Burke asked him, "What do you hope for LeBron James in this 3rd quarter?" To which Greg Popovich responded, "I hope LeBron plays poorly." And thirdly, there was a time, I don't remember the interviewer's name, but he asked Greg Popovich, "How do you feel about the 3rd quarter?" To which Greg Popovich had 2 words for him: "We're" and "down," which I think is absolutely hilarious. Now, these reasons and a few more, which I will talk about, which is his off-the-field persona, or I mean off-the-court persona, my bad, was that him and his wife, who is now passed, used to go to civil rights movements, and then gender equality programs and such, and they would go together, and he would put stuff together to get people to get equal rights. Now, all of this and more is exactly why Coach Popovich, aka Coach Pop, is the greatest of all time to do the coaching in NBA. Thank you.